Someone wondered what was wrong with the mountain bandit. A Yuju soldier questioned how a group of bandits stopped them, given that the rings invaded, while Kai Dalong believed Cheng Dale was sick and dizzy from the fever. Cheng Dale said that they heard of their past 30 years ago, when the rings come to invade them. It was Yang Longting who made vigorous efforts to turn the tide. He questioned what the difference was between now and why he couldn't do today what he'd done 30 years ago. Yang Longting irritably questioned him, asking if he ever fought with the rings, whether he knew how powerful the rings were, and how he could possibly defend himself with an untrained crew of fewer than 10,000 people. He yelled that he fought them and knew how strong the cavalry of the rings was. 30 years ago, he got nothing to lose, but now he had a reason to live, where Cheng Dale stayed silent. Yang Longting commanded him to get out of his way, or else he would have ordered his soldiers to kill him. Cheng Dale responded that he was the Lord of Yuju, personally appointed by Emperor Ming. He was above everyone else and urged him that he should fight for his people. Yang Longting's hand reached inside his clothing while he responded that Cheng Dale was disgusting. He threw his emerald-colored military seal and angrily responded that he was giving it up to him. He declared he was the Lord of Yuju and if he wanted to defend, as this was no longer his headache. The military seal, which was emerald in color and a dragon sculpture on its top, fell to the sopping wet ground in front of Cheng Dale as it continued to rain. Cheng Dale picked up the emerald-colored military seal. He raised it and showed it to everyone, the military seal of the Lord of Yuju. He asked if there were any honorable men willing to fight with him, kill the enemy, and succeed. His fellow bandits remained silent while Cheng Dale continued showing the military seal of the Lord of Yuju and asked them to join. While Cheng Dale was being avoided and the soldiers were looking down, Yang Longting advised his people to ignore him and urged them to go with him. However, determined, Cheng Dale persisted in asking them to join while repeatedly displaying the military seal of the Lord of Yuju in an effort to recruit anyone willing to die for the nation. Yet, he was being ignored and passed by the soldiers. The rain continued pouring at Kin Nu Mountain as Cheng Dale still continued shouting in hopes of recruiting someone. Cheng Dale was interrupted by Gao Fei Hu and told his village master to head back and discuss the escape as well. While Cheng Dale questioned going back, he argued that he's still a plan left that he could use. He continued by instructing Gao Fei Hu to go back and construct a barrier at the village's entrance, and anybody who wished to flee was told to leave their horses, weapons, and armor behind. Cheng Dale was adamant that not a single piece of iron would pass through his Kin Nu Mountain. He gave the command to accompany him to Fallen Leaf City. Cheng Dale on horseback passed by people trying to escape. He remarked that even if they managed to escape, they would not be able to live their lives as they wanted. The docks would be overcrowded, and even if they fled to the big cities, which city lord would take in these refugees? Cheng Dale went on to say that they lacked clothing and food, which was just a way to starve and die without dignity. Someone uttered to their village master that they couldn't defend it. Cheng Dale responded that as long as Fang Boshan provided him with 10,000 men, he could certainly defend himself with the location advantage. At the city lord's mansion in Fallen Leaf City, Lord Fang was reprimanding his men for what they'd done and why they needed these clothes while directing them to swiftly load his jade Buddha onto the cart. When Cheng Dale and his men came, City Lord Fang was still lecturing his people, telling them that if they kept sobbing, he would leave them behind and rings would take care of them. Cheng Dale and his men questioned what the city lord was doing. Lord Fang looked back and asked Cheng Dale what brought him there and added that he didn't have any additional ships available for him if he wanted to borrow one. In response, Cheng Dale said that he was not borrowing ships but rather soldiers and presented the Lord of Yuju's military seal. He hoisted the military seal and instructed City Lord Fang to cooperate with him to defend Kin Nu Mountain on behalf of the Lord of Yuju. He said that when people saw the seal, it would be like when they saw the Lord of Yuju. City Lord Fang questioned what Yang Longting was doing right now, and Cheng Dale replied that he was sitting in Kin Nu Mountain and ordered him to deliver the order, adding that if they could hold Kin Nu Mountain, it would be a great achievement for him. City Lord Fang responded that his military service not been as important as his head, and told his buddy Cheng that since they got along and pretended that he not seen him, he would take that as a thank you. However, Cheng Dale was adamant with Lord Fang that if Kin Nu Mountain could not be defended, Fallen Leaf City would be destroyed. It was inevitable that the people would also be killed, and he wouldn't be able to keep his head as the ruler of the city. Cheng Dale urged him to fight alongside them because Toad Village now a geographic advantage, food, and people. City Lord Fang began to sweat profusely when Cheng Dale wanted to go into battle with him against the Ring tribe. but he told him he wanted to run for his life and pleaded not to drag him along if he wanted to die. He gave Cheng Dale his cobalt blue military seal and the authority to command the soldiers in the city as he liked, and also told him to tell the Lord of Yuzhu that he hadn't seen him. Cheng Dale looked at the 2 military seals in his hands. He raised his hand bearing the military seal of Lord Fang and asked if anyone wanted to fight with him to drive out the barbarian enemy and defend their land. However, the citizens and soldiers were silent. Gao Fei, who urged his village master to head back home. Later that night, a candle was lit near the 3 military seals placed on a table. Cheng Dale was thinking and frustrated about why they couldn't try to defend it first. Why did they flee when they heard the Ring tribe? And questioned that they didn't even have the courage to hold a sword, and no one but Lin Shui supported him. Cheng Dale kept thinking Lin Shui would be a great warrior, and that death wouldn't bother him. Lin Shui probably thought he knew himself that they did not really have a chance to win. But Cheng Dale strongly believed it could be won. Cheng Dale was calling the system. However, he sat alone and the system did not show up. Cheng Dale thought in his mind that if the system didn't come out and give him a quest, did that mean the system also thought that his time also run out? Cheng Dale was so lonely while the system and lottery machine floated high above, staring at the stars and moon at night. The lottery called his big sister and asked her that it was time for them to give a new quest. However, the system got irritated and ignored the lottery. The lottery went on to say that the boy was at a crossroad and she should stop fretting and guide him well. The system responded that he was no longer the little boy he used to be. It was better to let him make that kind of decision himself. But in her mind, it was because she would be embarrassed to appear before him. Someone knocked at Cheng Dale's room. It was Su Ying who informed Cheng Dale that the people outside were all waiting for him, to which he replied to let them wait a little longer. Su Ying sat close to Cheng Dale, sympathized with him. She knew it not been easy for him to build this family business, but when there was smoke, there was fire. She held his hand and continued to tell him that there were Su family stores everywhere in Jizhu and Qingzhou. She persuaded him to hide there for a while since the rings would not stay for long, and waited until the situation was over and they could always come back. Cheng Dale was getting up as he agreed. He smiled as he told Su Ying that he was ready to go. At the Toad Village military area where a large number of bandits gathered, someone yelled to inform everyone that their village master arrived. Cheng Dale stood in front of them and addressed them as his friends, went on to say that their wives and children were all here, and this village was built by everyone together. Cheng Dale inquired whether they were willing to give up the village in order to be the same poor and hungry bandits they once were. The advantage of location, the village unlimited weapons and supplies. He asked them if anyone was willing to fight alongside him and defend their village. He continued that he would not stop those who wanted to go, and those who were ready to fight should take a step forward. Lin Shui firmly stepped forward in support of his village master. Worried, Cheng Dale asked again if there was anyone else. Zhu Shenji said, "Never mind and forget it." As Zhu Shenji stepped forward, he questioned his daughter as to why she was following him, to which Zhu Ling'er replied and berated him for leaving her alone. Zhu Shenji responded that he lived long enough as an old man, and that today he would accompany Cheng Dale to death. But he couldn't let his daughter follow him. He told his village master to let her go. Qin Man said that he didn't care as he believed they would all die one day. Liu Bei sighed and scratched his head. He added that the 4 brothers were ready to die for the village master. Little Wolf of Apricot Blossom chimed in while stepping in and told Cheng Dale that he was hopeless, while the female bandits were worried. The second master of Flying Tiger also stated that he would follow Cheng Dale to death, while Gao Fei, who was shocked. Su Ying, Xiao Yi, and Liu Zhai stepped out as well in support of their village master. Cheng Dale thought in his mind that in the end, there were only more than 10 people different opinions, but with the few people there, Toad Village could not be defended. He conceded and responded that he did not have the power to make them die alongside him, and he suggested talking about the escape. However, even if they wanted to escape, they needed to listen to him. Cheng Dale went on to say that if 5,000 people scattered like birds or wild animals, they could only become spirits through the swords of others. He told his people that if they wanted to escape, they would escape together. Cheng Dale would not leave anyone behind. He would not give up an old person, and he would not lose a single child. Lin Shui responded as his village master wished and said that he would be at his service. Cheng Dale commanded Xiao Yu to climb Bull's Horn Peak alone, carry dry food for a month, and use the big tree as a signal to show the attack direction of the Ring tribe. He called Liao Jia and Liao Yi to come to his service. He commanded the two brothers, and they would take 1,000 men each. They would dig a canal, destroy the road, block the road with stones and trees, and buy time for everyone to retreat while the two brothers respectfully wrapped their hands into fists. Gao Fei Hu respectfully asked his village master if they should act overnight, as this matter was urgent and should not be postponed. Cheng Dalei responded that there was no need to hurry. The Ring tribe was still burning and looting Black Rock City, and this would last for at least another 10 days. They were scared and disorganized in the beginning. If they ran into every possible path without paying attention to which one they chose later, that wouldn't bring destruction upon themselves. The bandits were talking about fleeing to Bingju or Jeju, and someone said that because Bingju bordered the Ring tribe, they could end up worse if they escaped there. Cheng Dalei raised his hand and responded that Suying business in Jeju, and if all 5,000 of them went there, it would probably take them longer than a month. Everyone should take enough food to provide for themselves for a month. Weapons were also needed for self-defense. They should prepare everything together and cut down large trees for building horse carriages. The bandits raised their hands as well and responded to everything at their village master's command. Fast forward to the Black Rock City's city lord's mansion. Fu Delay was walking slowly while holding a hamper. He kept going away while passing discreetly behind guards, until he arrived outside the yard of the Black Rock City. He opened a small door leading to the basement. He walked down the steps, holding a candle light in one hand and a hamper in the other. The lady asked who it was. Fu Delay responded not to be afraid because it was him. He smiled and told her to eat up because he brought it for her. They sat across from one another, with the meal and candle light placed between them. Fu Delay warned her not to choke and brought her water to drink, explaining that he couldn't always come over to her, and that this was her food supply for 3 days, so she needed to eat slowly. As she observed the bruising on Fu Delay's face, the lady thanked him for hiding her there and asked if he was beaten. Fu Delay responded that it was nothing, and that his brother used to beat him up a lot, so he was used to it. The lady continued to eat as she replied that she was the one who got him into trouble and thanked him before asking when they were leaving. Fu Delay replied that he did not know and they couldn't leave for now. His brother said he was looking for something here, and he did not know what it was. He thought in his mind that her expression when eating reminded him of the puppy he once had. It was also such a glutton back then and was later killed and turned into meat by his brother. The lady continued chewing while saying that Fu Delay was a good person and was different from them. If only they not come to fight with them, and questioned why they were so evil and come to rob them, which made Fu Delay stunned. Silence came between them. Fu Delay remained silent while the lady noticed the awkward silence while holding her bread. The worried lady was sorry that she misspoke and told him not to pay attention to what she said. Suddenly, Fu Delay assured her that it was alright and responded that they not been able to eat for a long time. The tribe was hit by a disaster last year. A large part of the pasture land was deserted, cattle and sheep starved, and if they not robbed them, they could not have continued to exist. Fu Delay added that enough of the unhappy stuff, told her his name was Fu Delay, and asked what her name was, to which she replied that she didn't have a name, she only a stage name which was Green Cherry. Fu Delay called her Little Cherry, which left her speechless. They both laughed and smiled. The good things of the world are not bound, but like colorful clouds, they dissolve easily, like brittle glaze, and one is full of thoughts that are in the heart and not in words. The contented person would not tire of love, and people who care about each other would talk to each other. Not everything was calculated by man. Everything was determined by fate. When the candle ran out of its light, Fu Delay took his leave, told her to take care, and said he would come to see her often. After that, she developed affection for Fu Delay. He hid Green Cherry in the basement, like a little dog, and wanted to check on her every day to see if she'd grown. One day, Fu Delay brought her a hamper containing her meal. He happily called her his Little Cherry when he came to see her and asked if she was hungry because he brought her a good meal. Fu Delay's smile quickly faded, his eyes filled with fear, and he dropped his hamper when he saw his brother, whom Kai Mei sarcastically called his good brother, and asked what he brought to eat because he was asleep and got hungry. Fu Delay asked his brother if he killed her. Kai Mei replied that Fu Delay a fearsome look in his eye like a hungry wolf, and questioned if Fu Delay would kill him if he told him she was dead. A fight broke out between the two brothers, where Fu Delay called his brother a bastard. However, Fu Delay was on his knees after being beaten by his brother and asked if he still wanted to be a good person. He was on the ground while his brother Kai Mei stood tall in front of him with a bottle in his hand. With visible bruises on Fu Delay's body, he was splashed with alcohol, which made him scream in pain. Kai Mei furiously asked him if he wanted to be a good person and would let him be one. While Fudale was face down on the dripping wet ground, he ordered two men to bring the people in. Two men brought out Green Cherry so aggressively that she stumbled on the ground. Green Cherry could only scream as she landed near Fudale, who managed to get up from the ground. Meanwhile, Fudale smiled when he saw his little Cherry and realized that she was not dead. Green Cherry called Fudale's name when she saw him. Kaime said again that he would give a chance to be a good person and ordered two men to bring out the 7 women. Two men brought out a string of women with their hands tied. Holding a sword, Kaime asked Fudale whether he wanted to save her. He questioned if he would kill these 7 ladies or if he could only save one. Kaime thrust the sword into the ground and repeatedly stated that he could either kill her or save 7 people. Confused, Fudale looked up as he called his big brother. Kaime ordered two men to strip Green Cherry naked and do it with her in front of him. Fudale's eyes began to tear up as he called his brother again. Kaime furiously screamed at him and told him to choose. He given him the opportunity, kill 1 or kill 7. Meanwhile, two men began tearing and pulling Green Cherry's clothes while she struggled on the ground. Kaime continued to pressure Fudale to take the knife and kill someone to save someone. Kaime told him again to take the knife and kill someone, questioning how he could save people if he couldn't learn how to kill, while Fudale repeatedly called his brother. Green Cherry cried and struggled as two men held her neck and continued tearing and pulling her clothes, while Kaime berated Fudale, telling him not to call him brother as he did not have a brother like him. Kaime called him a stupid coward and questioned if his mouth was only for pleading. He questioned Fudale if his knees were only for kneeling, and his hand couldn't even hold a sword while Green Cherry continued crying. Kaime went on to say he could save 1 or save 7, or everyone would die, and Fudale was sobbing. Green Cherry cried as she pleaded to be saved repeatedly. Suddenly, Fudale screamed stop while his eyes welled up in rage. He snatched the blade, slashed towards two men, and swiped at his hand. Two men's hands splattered blood all over, and he abruptly threw Green Cherry to Fudale while cursing him. They crushed onto the ground as dust and smoke billowed up around them, and they coughed it up. Kaime was pleased that his brother was now back on his feet. He persisted in putting pressure on him by asking if he intended to kill 1 or 7 people, sinisterly imploring Fudale to tell him which one. Finally, Fudale stated that he didn't have to choose, which perplexed Kaime. Fudale gripped his blade tightly and went on to add that all he needed to do was kill him as he pointed his sword at him, his eyes filled with fury. Kaime sinisterly laughed as he watched his brother's rage boiling inside him and told him to come and kill him now. Enraged, Fudale advanced towards his brother who a whip in his hand and yelled at his brother to die. Kaime smiled as he awaited the assaults of his furious brother. After Fudale missed with his sword attempt, Kaime quickly whipped a left cut. Fudale looked stunned as he continued to thrash him out and told him he was moving too slowly. Fudale aimed for a right cut but failed to slash his brother with his sword and still continued to miss. However, Kaime continued whipping him out, told him to move up, and teased him to move faster and faster while he was still hitting Fudale. Blood began to drip, and Kaime told him that his steps were disorganized and he needed to calm down. Persistent, Fudale aimed for a middle stab but missed, and Kaime told him to hold on to his knife, questioning how he could kill him if he couldn't hold on to a knife, while Green Cherry watched them from a distance. Green Cherry was worried as she held on to the remaining fabric of her clothing. Kaime whipped Fudale on his face and told him that he was too slow. Kaime aggressively fought with Fudale, and his little brother could only step back as he did so, berating him for being rubbish and wanting to kill him with such weak power. The whip suddenly got a hold of Fudale's sword. Kaime drew Fudale near to him and told him he liked the way he looked at him while teasing to kill him. Fudale screamed in rage. Suddenly, Fudale was able to cut Kaime's body and blood splashed, which stunned him. Kaime took a moment to realize what happened as he stepped back, and blood still splashed with the whip in his hand. His fingers touched the blood that dripped on his chest and tasted it. Kaime praised his brother, saying that finally he was willing to grow up. He pronounced that she was his and that he managed to save her. Fudale was breathing heavily, visible eye bruises and blood all over him. Kaime added that since he chosen to save her, he called for Chuo-man and ordered him to get rid of them. After licking his blade, Chuo-man started killing women. Fudale witnessed them being killed and was terrified. Kaime told his brother that it was not easy to survive in this world. He was too weak, and if only he were stronger, he could have saved everyone because it is not easy to be evil in this world. It was even more difficult to be a good person, so he grew up quickly as the weak could not protect anyone. Life was never gentle or pleasant, and it was full of blood and pain. The weak were the ones who were trampled on by the strong. Human life was just so worthless. Now that she was his, he hoped he would become a real man with her body. Kai Mei walked away as he told him to remember that it was now his possession and not to let anyone take her away from him. Neither his brother nor his father. Do not hesitate to draw his sword if someone reached for her. Meanwhile, Green Cherry sobbed while he held on to the little clothing she left. Fudele looked at her and called her little cherry. Fudele told her not to cry anymore. However, she was still sobbing inconsolably. He screamed at her to stop crying. Green Cherry stopped crying and gazed at him confusedly. He placed his hand on her shoulders and told her that she was his woman, and he was Fudele. He was her master and hugged her. He told her to remember his name. He would protect her from that day onwards. With Fudele, no one could steal her, and no one could hurt her. Life was like a divergent path between north and south. The world was long and windy, and no destiny existed with certainty. Chuo Man, eliminate the slaves who could not be transported. Kill those who to be killed and bury those who to be buried. Kai Mei ordered Chuo Man to call off the wolf cubs as they probably enough fun. It was time to get down to business. In the morning, the village master was questioned when they left because they was preparing for a long time already. Cheng Dale replied that it was almost time to go and he had a plan in mind. It was Gao Fei who asked again how much more they needed to wait. If the Ring tribe came and attacked them, none of them could leave, while Cheng Dale was wondering how they could be so fast and asked him if the Ring tribe was light on their feet. Gao Fei asked what his village master was thinking. Cheng Dale replied that he actually been thinking about one thing the whole time. He added that the Rings already raided Black Rock City and wondered why they would want to come here and attack further. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if they didn't attack and we abandoned such a great family business and ran away? Which made Gao Fei confused and questioned what his village master meant. Cheng Dale answered that he wanted to check out Black Rock City, which surprised Gao Fei and led him to tell his village master that he was out of his mind. Cheng Dale brushed it off and questioned what was crazy about it. He thought everything out carefully. He would pick a dozen of his people who could fight, go at night, and come back at night. He clarified that they wouldn't fight them, which appalled Gao Fei and led him to tell his village master he was going to die. Cheng Dale told him to be silent and reminded him that he was still the head of the village and his words still counted. Gao Fei tried to reason out, but he was interrupted by Cheng Dale and told again that he was the village master and he to listen to what he said. Cheng Dale added that that night he decided he would execute this plan, which left Gao Fei speechless. At dusk, Cheng Dale assembled a force of 36 people with a minimum strength of excellent rank. Lin Xiaoyu approached his village master and asked if he called him back to come along with him. Cheng Dale replied that he not, however, he another task and he needed to take 100. All the men sharpened their weapons, brought their bows and arrows, and set out at night. Cheng Dale led them on horseback. Cheng Dale and his team arrived near the Ring's camp, which was right in front of them. He was told they couldn't go any further because they could be easily spotted by the guards outside. Cheng Dale questioned what information they could find from this distance. He suggested tying up the horses and taking a closer look. However, Gao Fei responded to his village master that it was not a very smart idea. Cheng Dale reminded him that he was the village master and he needed to listen to him, which Gao Fei conceded and that he was fine with it. The Ring's guards were talking about them leaving and it was time for them to go to the next place because they were tired of staying here. Someone added that the women in the kingdom were born beautiful and white as lambs, while another one berated him for he dared to say such a thing and asked if he was not afraid one's wife in his house would eat him. The Ring's guard continued chatting about the woman they caught and tried to negotiate to trade 2 cows with it, while Cheng Dale and his team lurked in the bushes.